Hello everybody, this is Snarist, and welcome back to my coverage of Ninja Gaiden 4, the Two Masters DLC, and these are the EX trials that are unlocked after you beat the story, and this is the first EX trial. So EX trial number 1 is a kill all the enemies within the time limit. Do not be put off by the time limit here. All of these missions, all of these extra trials, give you tons of time to do everything, but they don't actually last that long, so time is not an issue at all. I don't know why they do this. I think they do it just to try and trick people into thinking they're going to be in for a real rough ride, to make them feel kind of intimidated. But honestly, I think the novelty wears off because they try that for every one of these trials. Essentially what this is the first trial is you fighting all these enemies. You're going to be facing a bunch of DDO commanders and different types of their troops. Then you're going to be dealing with demons and then fiends, and then eventually near the end of the fiends, or at the beginning of the fiends phase, you'll be having to fight one of the Mech Soldiers, which is one of those fiends that are strapped with like mechanical parts and the jetpack and the cannon and all that. He's basically, if you played this DLC story, he's that weird sort of purplish fiend with all the, cannons and jetpack and stuff like that. He's really annoying to fight, but what you won't have to worry about here is that there's tons of enemies, and if you're competent enough, then you'll be able to get up your berserk state pretty easily, or your gleam mode, I suppose it's what it's called with Ryu. Now, you don't have anything to bolster your defense or attack, but you do have a decent amount of health items to work with. Save it as much as you can. Now, if you're working at a decent pace, this whole mission should take you about 3 minutes or so before the Mech Soldier shows up. And when he does show up, it's basically kill him and a few of the any other enemies lying around. But luckily, these enemies don't spawn in until you clear out the whole of the first waves and all that. And so each wave is going to take roughly 1.5 to 2 minutes. Now what you can see here with what I'm doing is more or less just, as soon as you get your gleam mode, if you're playing as Ryu, or berserk state if you're playing as Yakumo, I'm playing as Ryu just because he's really easy to work with. Get used to being able to dodge on the regular, and as soon as you get that perfect dodge, and before Ryu lands, you hold down the charge button for your technique, your ultimate techniques. It's the same thing if you want to do an Azuna drop. Like if you're running low on your Ninpo, and there are like charges around that you can use to charge up an ultimate, but you're worried that stopping might be the death of you because enemies might charge in, well, you just need to keep holding your stance. You need to keep shifting around the arena. Find yourself a low enemy. At the moment you see a weakness, just strike him, get him to an uppercut, and then do an Azuna drop move on him. Which when you're in the air, it's just attack, 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 and then drop him on his ass. And so here's the Mech Soldier right now. So we just need to kill him and a few of these other dudes lying around. But he's got a couple of those DDO soldiers that have the giant shurikens, and they dash around like crazy. These things are nasty to deal with. Get as much of the berserk state as you can. Use Ryu's Ninpo. Personally, I don't know why, but I don't know why everyone prefers to use the Void, the one where he does like the surrounding attack. Sure, that's great for a lot of the little enemies and everything, but oh yeah, this technique here is annoying as fuck. He does like 4 stamps and there's like an explosion afterwards. I'm surprised I did not get killed by that, because you've got no Incense of Rebirth as well, so you need to use your health whenever you get low, and don't be afraid to either, because I really thought this fight would go on a little bit longer than it did. I think this was probably my 4th proper attempt, so it definitely was the trickiest out of all the trials I did, but it's far from the worst. But I always found that I keep forgetting what it gets called, but when he sends out that force push or whatever, not only does it deal with the little enemies already, but it keeps your distance. It can hit them and do the same damage from a distance, but at the same time it does so much more damage to the boss's health compared to every other Ninpo technique. So this is going to be pretty simple now. I'm going to take a risk on the charge, but yeah, sometimes it randomly bounces off of them and I have no idea why. So I'm getting pretty desperate here, so I'm going to catch him off guard in a Azuna drop, use an Ninpo, and he's almost dead. And so I've still got a regenerating health. I wanted to save it just in case there were other enemies after this one, but there wasn't. So I just go ahead, use the last Ninpo, finish him off nice and easy, and that's the end of the trial. And I was very surprised that's where it ended. So it's not as bad as you think, but definitely don't let your guard down. It's 5 minutes or 4.5 minutes of solid fighting. So I wish you luck, and I'll see you in the next trial.